Welcome to Yoked, where we explore timeless truths regarding faith, fitness, and finance. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have some great guests on the show. In each one, we're going to have gurus. We're going to have experts from all around the world, from different walks of life, different backgrounds. You're going to absolutely fall in love with this podcast. Guys, I'm going to tell you, yoke, the very original word, the meaning, the definition came from ancient times when farmers would use oxen to plow a field, or mules or horses to pull a wagon or a chariot. And it was the wooden plank that went between the two and the leather harness that went around their necks that would keep them in alignment with each other. That would keep them headed in the same direction at the same pace, the same speed, the same focus, the same end result, right? If they were plowing a field, can you imagine what would happen if there wasn't a yoke? If they weren't tied together and one oxen goes to the right and the other one goes to the left? Complete chaos. Well, sometimes that happens in our own lives because we're not yoked correctly. I've experienced that personally. I'm going to talk to you about it a little bit. But if you will, whether you're a believer or not, look, I'm not trying to convince you to be a believer, but I am. My real understanding of the word yoke comes from a biblical perspective. In Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, Jesus says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke and learn from me, because I am lowly and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Guys, Jesus is already in the yoke. It's already around his neck. He's already headed in the right direction. It's up to us to put our neck through the yoke, to put our head into that yoke and allow him to guide us. If you really think about that for just a minute, I would compare it to a dog leash. You got a dog, you take him out for a walk. What do? If you're smart, well, not like me necessarily. I just let mine out and they go through the gate and run all over the neighborhood. And then I get a bunch of phone calls, text messages, and Facebook posts from people, complaining about my dogs being out again. But if you're smart, you put a leash around, right? You have a collar around their neck and you attach a leash to it. And why do you do that? Why do you do that? Do you do it because you want to rule that dog? Because you want to control that dog's every move? Because it's a form of punishment? No. You do it because you love that dog. Because you care about that dog. Because you want to protect that which you love. That's why you put a leash on them. To keep them from running out into the street, running out in the road, getting hit by a car. To keep them from maybe running up on a rattlesnake and getting bit, or doing something that they shouldn't be doing, right? It is a protector. Let me tell you, Jesus' yoke is a protector. It's a guide from love and care. There's nothing more that he wants for you than peace and rest, a clean conscience, salvation. Guys, let me tell you something. For a long, long time, I looked at the Word of God. I looked at the Bible as rules and regulations and do's and don'ts. Don't do this, do that. And if you don't, you're going to go to hell. And the more I read it, and the older I got, and the more I experienced life, the more I realized that these aren't rules. These are leashes. These are like halters on a horse. Why do you put a halter on a horse? It's to help that horse. It's to help guide that horse, just like a leash on a dog. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you're open to the idea, you're going to really, really enjoy this podcast and what we have to share with you. It's also mentioned in another place in the Bible. And I'll tell you, I really think that this is one of our biggest problems, one of our biggest faults, is the fact that we yoke ourselves to the wrong things. We yoke ourselves to the wrong people, to the wrong careers, to the wrong influences, the wrong, social media, television, songs, books, you name it. If you look back in 2 Corinthians chapter, I think it's chapter 6 here, 6:14, it says, "Do not Do not be yoked together with those who do not believe. I know you probably think that word belief means somebody who says, "Oh, I believe in God." Well, guys, that's not what that word means. That word belief is action. You know them by their fruit. Those who believe, they produce certain actions, they do certain things. You know, the devil believes, but he shudders, right? The devil knows the word of God, but he doesn't live it, he doesn't practice it. What he's saying here is do not be yoked together with those who do not walk with Jesus, those who are not yoked with Jesus, those who are not in alignment with Jesus, those who are not bringing you closer to the Lord. For what partnership is there between righteousness and lawlessness, or what fellowship does light have with darkness? What happens? What happens when you start hanging out with the wrong people? When you yoke yourselves to the wrong friends, you start living like them. You start learning bad behaviors. You learn bad habits. It can be in any aspect of life. It can be in just the way that you eat. Think about that. Just in your diet, you hang out with people who eat every meal unhealthy. And what happens? You start eating unhealthy. You hang out with people all the time who don't exercise, who don't work out. What happens? You stop exercising, you start working out, you start putting on weight. That's what happens when you're not yoked with the right people, right? You start yoking yourself, you surround yourself with people who have a lack of discipline. They're just plumb lazy. They don't like to go to work. They don't want to go to work. They don't care about doing anything productive in their life. And before you know it, you're right there on the couch with them. You're right there binge watching TV shows for hours and hours and days and weeks until you know every television show on TV, every series that's going on, all the latest movies, you know everything that's going on in the world on the news, but yet you haven't helped a single person, including yourself and your family, because you begin to hang out with the wrong community, with the wrong friends. We all do. I've been there. I've been there. Look, I'm not pointing my finger. I'm not shaking my head at anybody other than maybe myself, because I have been unequally yoked. I've put myself with the wrong group of people. I've taken that leash off. I've taken that halter off. I've taken that harness off, and I've put it on with the wrong group of people. And every single time I've started listening to the things they listen to, learning the things that they learn, and living the way they live. And it's never turned out in a way that gave me peace, that gave me rest, that gave me contentment, hope, purpose. In fact, regarding my purpose, man, it carried me away. It carried me a long, long, long way away in the exact wrong direction. I want you to think about that for just a second. You may have seen the analogy. I wish I had one here. I'd give it to you. I'd do the analogy just with myself and my ghost here. Right? Get a 2x4, get a baseball bat, get some kind of curtain rod or something. Get you and your husband, your wife, your spouse, your significant other, your brother, your sister, your aunt, uncle, cousin, get somebody, a friend, to stand beside you, put that curtain rod across both of your necks, across your back, and begin walking in a certain direction. And watch what happens if one of you stops. You know what happens? The other one that keeps walking begins to walk in a circle. Think about that. Your marriage, your relationship, you're walking in the right direction, you're headed in the right mission, you're living your purpose in life and what you know to be right and just, and your partner stops. They look the other direction. What happens to you? You start going in circles, right? Until you get dizzy, nauseous, sick. And finally, it comes to a screeching halt. It works the same way in business. If you start a business with somebody and you're both excited about it, you're both fired up about it, and you're headed that way, You're going to help as many people as you possibly can. You're going to make as much money as you can. You're going to donate to orphans. You're going to help widows. You're going to do all these great things with it. But all of a sudden, your business partner gets greedy and they start taking money away. Whether it's embezzlement or not, they start pulling money away. They start using it for reasons that was never part of the plan. What happens to that business partnership? It's destroyed, right? Confusion and chaos happens again. Guys, it happens in every aspect of life. It happens in your health and fitness. It happens in your family and home. It happens in your finances. It happens in your relationships. It happens in your social life. What if you surround yourself with a group of people who just aren't willing to read, who aren't willing to learn, who aren't willing to be a student? They know everything. They know it all. And every time you try to say something, they have a better solution. They have a better way. They have a better answer. They know a better mission. They start carrying you. Wait, they start carrying you. They start pulling you in that direction. That's what a yoke does. A yoke keeps you in alignment with whoever, whatever you are yoked to. It's probably a pretty good question to ask yourself, isn't it? Good question to ask ourselves all the time. What am I yoked to? Who am I yoked to? Jesus says, take my yoke. Take my yoke upon you. I'll protect you. I'll give you rest. But you know what else he'll do? He'll keep you headed in the right direction. He'll keep you on purpose. You won't just be living, you won't just be living with purpose. You will be living your purpose. And I don't know, man. You know, guys, I've stepped away from my purpose more than once, and I'm sure you can relate to it. I think the most rewarding thing in life, it's not money, it's not fame, it's not fortune, it's not friends, it's not looking like $1 million or having $1 million in the bank or even keeping your family together. I think the greatest reward in life is fulfilling our purpose. It's fulfilling your purpose. But if you don't know your purpose, how do you find your purpose? Well, it's a good question, isn't it? I believe it comes from being yoked with the creator that created you, with the one who created you for a purpose. He is who knows your purpose. And so we're going to talk about this, man. We're going to be going through tons of stuff about faith and looking at a biblical perspective. Not some religion, not some denomination, not some spiritual group or some mystical whatever. Guys, we're going straight to the Creator's word, straight from His mouth, straight from His inspired word to discover what faith really is. And what does it really mean to be yoked together with Him? What does it mean to be yoked together with believers? What does it mean to not be yoked with unbelievers? And how does all that work out? And what does all that mean to us in every little decision that we make in our life? We've got to trust God's time. We've got to trust His process. We've got to trust His promises. Guys, we got to get out of this self-help. I tell you, man, I go crazy over this, but we got to get out of this self-help cycle because self-help is no help. Look, you can fix the spirit. You can't, you can't fix most of your problems with motivational quotes and positive thinking and all those things. You can't, in fact, you probably can't even fix your problems or your issues. Only your creator can. Only your creator can. And that's why I wrote this. Self-help is no help. How to stop fixing yourself and start living free. We're going to dive into every single chapter, every paragraph of this book. You can go get this on Amazon right now today if you want to. You'll also be able to get it from us directly at beyoked.org. And we'll talk more about that recently. But guys, let me tell you, I tried it. I tried to fix my problems with money, with wealth, with riches. I tried to fix my problems with relationships. with friends, loved ones, family. I tried to fix my problems with fitness and how I look to the world and my my fame, so to speak. You know, how many likes does this photo or this video get? How much engagement is this social media page? What do people really think about me? Let me get, guys, I've tried all kinds of stuff to fix problems and issues in my life, and I know you have too. And what happens every time? We run out of money, we run out of time, we run out of friends, we run out of finances, we run out of willpower, we run out of motivation, we run out because the real source is not me, myself, and I. The real solution is not you. The real solution is not me. It's him, right? It's him. As I wrote a book called You Can Go to Hell. I'll tell you why I wrote this book. Subtitle is the same Bible that told me there's a heaven, tells me there's a hell. I was 14 years old. 14 years old living in Stephenville, Texas. I just moved not too many months prior to that from Arlington, Texas. And my best friend in Arlington, Texas, his name was Tony. And I was supposed to go this week and pick him up, and he was going to come spend the rest of the summer. Well, just so happened, he had a car wreck with his former girlfriend, who was one of his best friends now, as Tony was driving, and she got killed. And that crushed him, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I don't understand what he felt. But I know he hurt enough that he took his own life. And he took his own life the very day that I was supposed to pick him up and bring him to Stephenville, Texas to spend the summer with me, where we were going to ride horses, and work on a ranch, and deal with cattle. And I got the call that my best friend was at a friend's house. They were mowing the yard. He went in for a few minutes to get a drink while our other friend continued to mow the yard. When our other friend came in, he found Tony dead there in the living room. He had shot himself. And all I can remember is wanting to see him, wanting to apologize, wanting to beg for his forgiveness, tell him I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. That's all I could say. I was praying to him, not to the Lord. I was, Tony, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm coming to see you, I'm coming to see you. And I wanted to commit suicide. I wanted to take my own life because I thought that if I died, I would go to heaven, and there would be Tony, and we could be together, and I could apologize to him face to face for not picking him up, for not being responsible, for not keeping my word to him. And then, as I'm sitting there in Stephenville, Texas, on my bed, I've got the gun in my hand. It's loaded. It's off safety. My finger is literally squeezing the trigger. Literally squeezing the trigger. I'm 14 years old. I'm 14 years old. And the thought comes to me, where do I get the idea of heaven? Why do I think I'm going to heaven? And I remember it came from the Bible, the idea of heaven. In that same exact book that said you can go to heaven, also said you can go to hell. In the life that I had been living, I'm not so sure I was headed to heaven. Guys, it's a hard truth, a clear choice, but you can have a whole lot better ending. We're going to walk through this together, chapter by chapter. We're going to talk about how serious the decision to be yoked in your faith really is, to be yoked with Jesus. How important is it? And no, we're not talking about do's and don'ts and rules and regulations and shame on you and judging you and you judging me and us. No, 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 no. That's not what we're talking about, guys. He says that his yoke is light, that his yoke is easy, that we will find rest in him. Think about that for a second. Go back to the taking your dog on a walk, putting a leash on them. Why did we do that? We do that to keep them out of trouble. We do that to protect them from their own decisions of running out in front of a car, right? Or running up on a rattlesnake and getting bit. We love those pets. And so we put a harness on them. We yoke them, so to speak, to us with that collar, with that leash, so they head in the same direction that we are heading, which is a safe direction. It's not full of a bunch of mistakes and a bunch of bad decisions based off of how we feel or how we don't feel. Some of you get the point, right? Some of you get the point. And look, by the way, I want to announce, since we are on the podcast today, guys, let me tell you something. You know, I've read every translation of the Bible. Not being braggadocious or anything, okay? I'm just saying I, started at the age of 14, and when I realized, let me just tell you something. When I put that gun down, and I realized that the place where I got the idea that I was going to heaven also said you can go to hell. What do you think I did? At the age of 14, I wasn't raised going to church, man. I looked at those people like religiosos, I wanted to stay away from them. And still, as my friend Rick says, shame on me. Still do to this day, right? Guys, we're not talking about, churches with stained glass windows and religious groups and denominations and all that. I'm talking about the Creator. I'm talking about God. You know what I did? I picked up the book that said, you can go to hell. Yes, you can go to heaven, but that way is narrow. And the one that goes to hell is wide. And many go there. And so you know what I did? Man, I read the King James Version. I read the New King James Version. I read the American Standard Version. I read the New American Standard Version. I read the New International Version from 1984 and today, the New American Standard of 1995. The Living Translation, the English version. Guys, I've read so many translations, and they're all good translations. But me and a friend of mine begin to say, what if we could help people? What if we could translate from the original language, from Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, word for word, thought for thought, but in today's language, not putting in any of our own thoughts, any of our own ideas, but it was clear enough for a seventh grade reading capability to understand it. So my friend Dennis, I really owe it all to him. We talked about it together, but he did most all the work. So we do now have the Yoked translation. We have the Yoked New Testament right now. We actually have the Old Testament as well, but you can get these as well. Guys, this is the main book that we're going to be going through, talking about being yoked. We've got it both in paperback and hard copy, okay? And you'll be able to get both. You can get both of those right now. We're going to be going through that. We're going to invite people. Guys, we're going to have scholars from around the country and across the world talking to us about faith. But guys, this podcast is not just about faith. Although that's where we're going to yoke ourselves to, is to this word and to our Creator. But we're also going to talk about being yoked in our fitness. You see, you look at my body and you think it's for show. No, I'm just kidding. Your body, my body, is not for show. It's for purpose. It's for purpose. Look, it's for stewardship. It's for discipline. And alignment aren't optional. This isn't optional, that I get a choice to whether I take care of this temple or not. It's a commandment. It's his temple. I need to protect it. I need to be yoked to Jesus. I need to be yoked to this word. and take care of this temple, take care of this body. Let me tell you, I don't have it in front of me, but we have another book called God's Carnivore Code. We have another one called the Reset Code. And these books are how biblical nutrition isn't about trends, it's about the truth. It's the reason we need to be physically fit is to fulfill God's purpose in our lives, not so we look good on Instagram. We're going to have a lot of fun discussing that topic. I can tell you that. We're going to talk about fasting. I just recently completed a 100-hour fast, and I did a 72-hour fast. Just did I don't even know, 60 something hours because, yeah, my friend Dennis Wilson that did this, he caused me to break yesterday. And yes, this is live. Yes, it's public information. We ate some of the nastiest Mexican food I've ever had in my life. Not going to say the name of the restaurant. Now, it was delicious, but it was nasty. I mean, I felt horrible afterwards. But guys, in all sincerity, there are truths in this word, timeless truths about our health and about our fitness and why it is so important that we take it serious. And it is not the reason that the world thinks. It's not so that you can be hot or you can be good looking or you can be handsome or you can be sexy or you can be gorgeous or beautiful. Guys, that's not the reason why. The reason why is so that you can fulfill your purpose in life. Remember what I said? Fulfilling your purpose is the most rewarding thing you can do in life. Yes, I tell people, set a goal to be a millionaire. Why? Not for the money. When you get there, you can give it all away. Why do I tell people to set a goal to be a millionaire? Well, here's why. Because the person that you have to become in order to have deserved it, in order to have earned it, your integrity, your character, speaking truth, helping others, that's what it takes to become a millionaire. And that's why I tell people, set a goal to become a millionaire. And then all of a sudden they find out, whoa, this isn't about the money. This is about people. This is about purpose. It's not about profits. Guys, money is the same way. Money is not, let me say that again. Money is not, finances are not your master. I know it feels like it. I know it seems like everything revolves around it. We can't eat if we don't have money. We can't live in a house if we don't have money. We can't have a roof over our head if we don't have money. We can't have a car if we don't have money. We can't have clothes if we don't have money. We can't put food on the table for our kids and our loved ones if we don't have money. We can't even stay healthy because we can't have a gym. We can't buy healthy food if we don't have money. We can't go see our family and friends because we don't have the money to pay for gas or to pay for flights or to stay in a hotel if we don't have money. And everything is money, 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 money. And it seems to be our master, but it's not. Money is nothing more than a tool for our purpose. It's to achieve our purpose in life. It's to assist us in our purpose in life. You know, we did some other books. I wrote a book. Actually, I didn't write it. I updated it in modern English for today's reader. This book changed my life. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, I had to read it like umpteen times, 100 times. And the reason why I had to is because I couldn't understand it. Guys, but it changed my life and it can change your life too. We're going to go through this. I can't wait, man. We're going to go through all kinds of stuff regarding faith, regarding fitness, regarding finance, and the biblical stewardship regarding your purpose in life. And so the question is this: who are you yoked to? Do you have a community of people that are yoked in truth, absolute truth? If not, join this podcast because you're going to get the opportunity to yoke yourself to the right truth, to timeless truth, to the right people, to the right purpose, right here on this podcast. Who are you yoked to? Are they pulling you towards God or not? If not, then they are pulling you away from God. If this is the case, I'm going to tell you something. You need to immediately unyoke yourself from those people before it's too late. They'll pull you in areas of frustration. They'll take you out of alignment. They'll take you off your purpose. Guys, there's so many things I'll do. But look, I only have a couple minutes left, so here's what I want to do. I want to thank you, first of all, for joining me on the podcast today. If you got any benefit whatsoever, or think you might, maybe it wasn't today, but once we really drill into the podcast, if you think you're getting any benefit whatsoever regarding your faith, regarding your fitness, regarding your finances, man, wouldn't you share this with somebody? And join us again every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, guys. We're going to be breaking down faith, fitness, and finance from timeless truth, timeless principles. And I think you'll be really excited and really happy that you joined us. Thank you for being with us. You can find us again on Apple, Amazon, and Shopify if you don't join us live. Until next time, be yoked.